Roll Tide and welcome. Crimson Tide Rewind, live from Baumhower's Victory Grille in Vestavia Hills, presented by the Alabama Department of Public Health, who reminds Alabama, don't wait, vaccinate. Hello again, everybody. This is Roger Hoover alongside former Alabama linebacker Cory Reamer, and we're going to take your calls over the next hour and get your thoughts on Alabama, Tennessee, plus what's coming up against Alabama and Missouri. And Cory, tonight is the night when Alabama starts to bounce back with Crimson Tide Rewind.
Yeah, I absolutely hope so. It's the last 3 weeks have been tough ones for being an Alabama fan. It's you lose to Vanderbilt, you sneak one out with South Carolina, then you go to Knoxville, and it's just not the performance that we wanted to see. And I think there's some, there are some good things you take away from it, but just couldn't get the job done. And Tennessee gave us all the opportunities in the world to go win that football game, and we just could not capitalize. And probably, on the offensive side of the ball, one of the worst performances we've seen this year in terms of execution, going out there and putting points on the board. And defense really stood up in the first half, getting 3 turnovers, and you just can't do anything with it. And unfortunately for us, it was just a lack of execution. There's a lot of, I don't know, this is, maybe we're, after watching, 6-7 weeks of college football, maybe this is the part of college football now that is also coming along with the NIL and transfer portal of it looking more like an NFL type of situation where you're going to have teams that have, 1, 2, 3 losses that are going to be making these playoffs. And just because there's so much parity across rosters, there's, we've got talent on this team, maybe not as much as we've had in the past or whatever it is. You're just not going out there and executing the way that we're, accustomed to doing from these Alabama teams. It just, it was frustrating to watch. It seems like there was kind of like that South Carolina, the first half. Going into halftime, you got a 7-0 lead, but it just felt like it could have been more. There was opportunities there for us to put points on the board, and then the defense held them to a shutout, and then all of a sudden you get second half, a completely different story. Tennessee outscores us 24-10, and could not get a stop at the very end, and then we turn the ball over with the interception right at the very end when we did have a chance right there in the end of the fourth quarter. And here we are, where we've got 2 losses, and something that we haven't had happen at this part of the year for a long time. I think it was 2007 when Coach Saban first got there. It's been a long time since we've had to deal with this, and this is a new era of football. There's still we've got a 12-team playoff here, so I think that we still control our own destiny. We beat Georgia, and looked good doing it. Georgia turns around and goes out and beats Texas this past weekend and looks dominant in their efforts against them. And it's like being the number 1 team in the country is a curse. It's like nobody's held it this year for more than 2 weeks. It just seems like there's a lot of really good teams out there, or everybody's just got talent spread out a lot more. And it's just a weird feeling, man.
Yeah, and even the 2 teams that lead the SEC right now, LSU, Texas A&M, one of them will have a loss this week because they play each other, but those are 2 fan bases that started the year as frustrated as can be with non-conference losses. Yeah. So it's affected everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's you probably go back and you look at the top 25 of the preseason top 25 where everybody thought teams would land. Hell, you got Vandy in the top 25. Nobody was expecting that, and you've got Arkansas, who beat this Tennessee team, and this Arkansas team hadn't looked good all season. They beat Tennessee. It's amazing how I don't want to call it complacency for some teams, but it seems like it's really difficult to get some of these college football teams to really focus on being executing at a high level week in and week out. And I think that's probably been the story for the last few years, probably for the last 4 years, really, since there's an added distraction that you've got for these players now that is just outside of going and being the best that you possibly can be and executing at a high level and focusing on the things you're supposed to focus on. There's other things that are, somewhat of a distraction. I think we all know what that is, and we're seeing the quality of the play being affected by it.
Well, tonight we're going to talk all about this past Saturday in Knoxville, and again, look a lot ahead to what's coming up on Saturday in Tuscaloosa. If you'd like to join us, please give us a call at 877-202-BAMA. We're with you for the next hour from Baumhower's in Vestavia Hills. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
2 right, 1 left among the wideouts, and it'll be a handoff and going left side. Sampson cuts it back inside the 25, lost the football, scramble for it. Bama says they have it around the 18-yard line. Tide celebrating. Did they get the takeaway? Yes, they did. Bama forces the fumble in the tie. It'll get it after Tim Smith is able to get that takeaway.
Bama fans, keep up with everything Alabama with the Alabama Crimson Tide mobile app presented by Cadence Bank. It's available at the App Store and Google Play. Download the Alabama Crimson Tide mobile app now for free. Again, we're going to be with you until 7 p.m. Central here in Vestavia Hills. Taking your phone calls. If you'd like to join us, give us a call at 877-202-BAMA. And I hope our first call is going to give us the pick-me-up we're looking for here as we start the show. Let's go to Mike from Birmingham, who joins us now. Roll Tide, Mike.
Roll Tide indeed, Jim. Let me tell you something, guys. I'm going to tell you, despite the situation we're in, Bama is going to bounce back. They're going to bounce back real quick this coming Saturday. They're going to take down Missouri. And they go to Baton Rouge. They're going to play. They're going to cut down their set Tigers down in Baton Rouge. And, of course, they're going to take down Mercy. They're going to be begging for Mercy. Not to get blown out. They're going to get blown by the Tide. They'll take down Oklahoma. Bama will. They'll whip that cover away. And, of course, Iron Bowl, we're going to pound down, take down Auburn in T-Town. And at 10-2, where we in the SEC championship game with that, that's okay. As long as we won the top 12 teams, we're going to playoffs, gentlemen. I feel in my bones. They're going all the way to the playoffs. They're going to do this thing, guys.
Yeah, appreciate it, Mike. I agree. I think the biggest thing for us right now is we got 2 losses. We talked about last week, whoever was the loser of this game is going to end up with 2 losses, and then the road gets a lot tougher. The margin of error at this point is 0 for Alabama. You look at the remaining games that we have. You got Oklahoma, LSU, Missouri, and Auburn. Those are 4 tough teams, and 2 of them that are ranked. A 10-2 team that has beat Georgia, I think, has a really good chance of still making the playoff if you can win these last 4 games. You slip up and lose one of these remaining 4 games, even if it's LSU, who's currently number 8 in the country. I think there's a chance, but I think it's going to be really tough looking around and seeing what else is out there. These teams that are still, that have better records and in having 3 losses, even though it is a 12-team playoff, I think that one's going to be really tough. But they control their own destiny. That's the main thing you want. You go out there and you do what you're supposed to do. You win these last games. You finish the season from here on out without losing one. I think you got a real chance of being in the playoffs. So we got to do what we're supposed to do. Go out there and focus on us. We've got still a lot to clean up from this past Saturday. Some, shooting ourselves in the foot, some errors that we've created for ourselves. But I still think there is a lot to play for. I think Atlanta is probably going to be a lot tougher at this point. There's a decent amount of SEC teams that have better records. A lot of, like you said, they're going to play each other, and there's no telling what's going to happen. We've seen some chaos through 6 or 7 weeks already this season. You never know how things are going to shake out, but I think that one's going to be a little bit tougher. But we'll see. We got a tough one this coming Saturday against Missouri, who has looked good early in the season. Seems like they got a quarterback injury situation. Comes back and wins that Auburn game for them this past weekend. But this is a good quality team, and you better come ready to play.
Better come ready to play. And again, that's the only thing this football team could focus on at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you cannot sit there and try to look down the road. You've got to center in and focus your entire locker room. You're starting yesterday, Sunday, meetings. You've got to worry about what you can control and what is going on in this locker room to figure out what these mistakes are that we're making that are really costing us a lot of these games, because there's just too many of them, whether it be penalties or turnovers or offense is playing good on, this week, defense is not. Defense is playing good this week, offense is not. How do we find a way to gel together as a team? And when you have opportunities to win football games or to continue to, step on their necks, when you got opportunities, you got to take them. You've got to have, and Coach DeBoer mentioned it on Saturday, it's like, where is that dog mentality of let's go finish these guys off. Let's go make them feel that they played Alabama. And right now we're just not playing that style of football. And you're allowing teams to stick around and be in ball games that we could have easily put them out of earlier on, where they would have given up a lot of, earlier in the game. And you just can't let these are good teams that we're playing. You can't let them hang around and just slowly find their way back into a football game because they're good enough to do it. And we saw it on Saturday.
Certainly did. So Alabama trying to bounce back this week against Missouri. We'll talk more about that when we return. Again, if you'd like to join us, give us a call at 877-202-BAMA. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Two wideouts right, one of them being Bernard. Single setback, Miller. They throw a pass left side. It is in and out, and then back into the hands. Ryan Williams, touchdown, Alabama.
Make sure you stop by J&J Apparel at 1926 University Boulevard on Thursday, October 24th. From 5:30 to 6:30 to meet Alabama men's basketball guard LeBaron Philon. Shop and talk shop with Bama's best all season long, along with Tide Thursday at J&J Apparel, your trusted source for Bama gear, online at jnjapparel.net. RTR with J&J. We'll go right back to the phones, where we now go to Pace, Florida, where Parker joins us now. Roll Tide, Parker.
Roll Tide, y'all. How are y'all doing tonight?
Good, man. How about you?
I'm doing okay. The sun still came up yesterday morning. But we just got to improve our defense. I just feel like we're just not clicking. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot to improve on. That defense is, we could say they played better because we held them to Tennessee to 0 points in the first half, and you give up 24. But you look at what was going on. There's some Tennessee's offense didn't click very well either. They missed some opportunities just like we did. Nico is a guy that's still young. He's improving, and there were some open throws that he missed, and defense seemed to. I was watching back this, the footage from Saturday. I was watching today and looking at. It's amazing how many times our DBs just have their eyes in the backfield. Playing this zone-style defense, got their eyes in the backfield, and then Tennessee's receivers are just finding these holes in this defense, and you just can't win. You can't shut down a passing game that way when you're focused on. If you're staring at the quarterback, you have no idea where these receivers are that are in your zones. You got to be able to move with these guys, and they're kind of open, and luckily, I felt like after the first half, the score really should have been. There probably should have been 3 or 4 touchdowns at least that were not scored on Saturday that could have easily been instead of going into 7-0. When I said last week, I thought this was going to be a low-scoring game, maybe a 24, or maybe it was on the pregame, 24-17, 21-17, something like that. I didn't expect it to be because of the way that the game turned out on Saturday. I thought it was just going to be. Both defenses were trending in the right direction, playing a little bit better. Tennessee had a good defense. Thought they were going to give both offenses, some difficulty, but I did expect it to be more from the standpoint of our offenses were just missing opportunities and the turnovers that were happening by both teams. But yeah, I think there's been improvement, from this defense, but we're going to have to do a lot more because we've got some pretty tough offenses that we're going to see coming up.
And is that the source of so much frustration right now over the last 3 weeks, really just not complementary football between the offense and the defense on the same day?
Yeah, and you heard Coach DeBoer talking about that. It's one side of the ball is, we saw the offense just be unstoppable for the first 4 games of this season. And then they've just kind of fallen off here lately. It's just, putting on, 27 points against South Carolina. And 21 points this weekend. It's amazing that we've got the weapons that we've got on the offensive side of the ball. But I feels like we've got weapons, but they're not doing a great job of helping Jalen. I don't know if it's Jalen's feeling the pressure of having to be the guy that makes all the plays all the time, and he's not getting a lot of help. You target Ryan Williams, you're going after him all the time, but who else is out there trying? Jeremy Bernard's come on the last couple of weeks and make some plays. The running game just isn't where it probably needs to be to take some pressure off of Jalen, but it seems like he's really feeling the heat of trying to make all these plays. And then Saturday, I don't know if you saw or you thought about it, but it kind of looked like he just wasn't 100% healthy. And some of the throws were off target. It just didn't seem like he was 100% by any means. And you really could tell that when he would take off and run, usually he's beating guys to the edge and running around some of these defenders, and he was getting caught before he was able to get positive yards, or there were windows for him to run through where he could have easily moved the ball forward and gotten first down and kept drives alive, and he just didn't seem to take them. I don't know if he was protecting himself, if he's got, it's a lower body injury where he doesn't feel as comfortable taking off and running, or if it's an oblique or whatever it is. And you saw him kind of cringing, getting up off the field a few times on Saturday when he took some of these hits. And he's taken a lot of them the last few weeks, and we've got to do a really good job of trying to protect him because this offense runs through him. He's a quarterback, obviously, but we've got to get him healthy. It just doesn't seem like he was, playing to his level that he holds himself, the standard that he holds himself to. It just wasn't the type of game that we've seen from Jalen and gotten accustomed to. This seemed like it was more of pre-Texas 2023 Jalen, where he was, just standing in the pocket a lot more and not using his feet as much. And you don't realize how much you miss him running the ball until it's not there.
For Jalen, no interceptions through the first 3 games of the year, but now 5 in the last 3 games. What are you seeing on some of those throws?
I think that there's, been a few of them have been some tip balls, not on him. But I think that, the one that was at the end of the ball game, you don't throw in the right spot. You throw behind your receiver. And if you get that ball out in front, the defender has no chance of playing because he's trailing the wide receiver. There's no chance for that ball to get intercepted. But you throw behind him, he's just missing his targets a little bit. And I think that also plays into maybe there's something going on with an injury that's not allowing him to be as crisp with his accuracy as he has been, through the end of last year and the beginning of this season. What we've seen from him so far, it just doesn't seem to be the same. And I don't know if it's, when you're a quarterback and you've got an oblique or a leg or something, you can't drive through the football like you're normally used to doing. And we saw a few balls come up short. And that really tells me that there's got to be something that's bothering him. Maybe he's not hurt. It's just, but there is an ounce of pain that is causing him to not finish and use the technique that we've seen from him through the beginning of the season. Those balls are just not going exactly where they're supposed to. Or what we've seen him be able to do so far this season.
Hard to believe the game-ending interception by a young man from Vestavia Hills
product,
probably has been here to Baumhower a few times. Will Brooks.
Yep. That, it was. He was there and he made the play. Got to give him credit. I think it was probably a big moment for him and his family to be able to beat Alabama, being from Birmingham. We've seen some local guys that have played Alabama. Clemson had a few of them. Tennessee's got one, but yeah, you get that ball out in front. He's got no chance of intercepting. The drive still stays alive. So there's definitely something that's going on. Maybe we don't know about it. Maybe we never will. But it just doesn't seem like he was on his A game on Saturday, unfortunately.
Well, coming up, we will have the Missouri game this Saturday. And make sure you join us at Vector Security Champions Lane. It's the best pregame fan fest in the country. Our live radio broadcast will get things started 3 hours prior to kickoff at 11:30 a.m. And then we will have a free pregame concert by country music star Easton Corbin. We'll also have the early games on the largest outdoor LED screens in Tuscaloosa, autograph signings from the women's basketball and volleyball teams, plus food trucks and, of course, ice-cold beer at Legends Lounge, where there's never a cover charge. Visit championslane.com each week for more details. Again, we're taking your phone calls. To give us a call, 877-202-BAMA, the number to dial. This is Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Throws downfield, has a man, but it is picked off. Malachi Moore with a big 30. He goes crossfield, 35, 40, 45. Moore cuts it back midfield in Tennessee territory. Breaks another tackle, gets to the 35. Out of bounds there. Malachi Moore with the interception. And Bama takes it away from Tennessee again.
Hey, if you'd like to join us tonight, we're also taking questions online on the Alabama Media Group Twitter line at UA_CTSN, brought to you by AL.com, your source for SEC sports. But we're going to go right back to the phones, this time to Scottsboro, where Ronnie joins us now. Roll Tide, Ronnie.
Roll Tide. Roll Tide. Hey, I just want to say I think we got a lot of talent. And I just wonder when's the time that we're going to maybe substitute a little more.
I got a feeling which position he's probably talking about. I feel like the coach has got a pretty good handle on who the guys are that are out there that should be playing. And here's the problem that I think every team is probably facing right now is that we do have talent, but the depth of that talent is not the same as what we've been accustomed to in years past. I mean, when you're losing as many guys off of last year's roster that you've lost, this is where it really shows up. When you've got some injuries, you've got some guys that are banged up that probably do need some rest, that don't need to be playing, 40, 50, 60 snaps a game. You don't have the ability or the luxury to do that because you've lost these backups that were going to be good players, that even might be better than those starters are. They're just young, but if you don't have somebody that you can put in, I don't know what else there is to do. I mean, there's There's some guys that are on the sideline that are probably going to be playing here pretty soon. But, I mean, I don't think that we have the depth at the positions that we've had, over the last few years to be able to feel comfortable about pulling the starters and putting these backups in. I think that the disparity between the starters and the backups is greater than it's ever been. You've seen Coach, I think it was Kirby Smart who talked about it at the beginning of the season. He's like, we've got a lot of good players. We've got 22 really good ones. He said the depth is the issue, and it's going to be an issue across all of college football. And, you wish that there was just an easy answer as, well, let's just play the guy that's second string. Well, there's a reason why he's second string. That's what every fan's favorite players are a lot of times are those second string guys, because you just think this, he was a big recruit, he's a good player, and then you put him out there and you're typically disappointed. You don't know. The coaches are watching him every single day in practice. They know who should be out there. And unfortunately, we just don't have the options that we used to have.
And I think in fairness, too, Alabama, especially defensively, is starting to get a deeper rotation, it seems like. Some players that we didn't see as much from early in the year, like even Jalen Mbakwe. His snaps are up. King Mack, we saw a lot more of him. And then now we know with Keon Sabb being injured and out for a little bit, Bray Hubbard, who's come off the bench, played well so far for the Crimson Tide, he is going to have a much larger role starting this week. Yeah, absolutely. And Mbakwe is one of those guys that he's a great athlete. It's like, well, his partner over here, Ryan Williams, he's playing as a freshman. It is a significant difference between playing wide receiver as a freshman and playing corner as a freshman, and it is a lot harder to ask somebody to go out there and put a freshman on an island in a league like with the talent that you're out there trying to cover, the pressure that's on you, you're getting put on an island. It's a different ball game than it is to go out there and play receiver. And, receivers get the ball maybe, we obviously targeted Ryan Williams 18 times, but most of the time you've got receivers that you're only involved or you're getting targeted maybe 5-7 times a play. Well, at corner, when a quarterback sees that there's a freshman out there, you're going to get thrown at a bunch. And it is it's kind of like in baseball. If you can bat, 300, you can make it into the Hall of Fame. Well, you can't do that at corner in college football. And there's going to be a lot of those balls that are thrown up in 50-50 shots, and quarterbacks are going to try to take advantage of you. But yeah, I think we're going to see some of these younger guys, and I think we already had a young roster, especially on the defense with who we lost from last year, and now we're really digging deep and finding some of these younger guys. But I thought Hubbard played well. You're exactly right, and King as well. It's these guys are. I think this team is very young, and the future looks bright for this roster. And who these guys are, the coaching staff is recruiting. They got put in a tough spot, getting hired when they got hired after. The transfer portal had already closed, and then their roster is just out there for the pickings for all these other teams to come, and they got a lot of these good players from Alabama. They, in turn, couldn't go replace them. And so I think you're already playing thin. You've got a young roster, but there are a lot of guys that are going to be good players for us down the road. Something to keep an eye on for sure. We're hanging with you tonight from Baumhower's Victory Grille in Vestavia Hills, where it's ready for football, fun, great food, and, of course, your big game headquarters all season long. More than 60 televisions dialed into your favorite team's games. You'll never miss a play of the action. If you're going to the big game, visit your local Baumhower's before or after for legendary fun, legendary food, and legendary celebrations. We'll be back with Crimson Tide Rewind next. This is Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield. Hey, if you'd like to join us on the show, you can also join us virtually or online, digitally, whatever. Submit your question to us on the Alabama Media Group Twitter line at UA_CTSN. Brought to you by AL.com, your source for SEC sports. But instead of going there, right now we'll go back to the phones. This time we go up to Florence, where Rowdy joins us now. Roll Tide, Rowdy.
Roll Tide, guys. And as always, I hope everyone there is doing well.
Yes, sir. Hope you are too.
Okay. Listen, I want to cut to the chase. I'm a true Alabama fan, diehard fan. But one thing, and if it's a stat that I'm reading correctly, and I believe it is, we only had 3 third down conversions to pick up a first down. And the last one that we received or was able to convert was even due to the assistance of a penalty. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, Alabama was 3 for 14 on third down of the ball game.
Yes, sir. Okay. We all know, that that's not going to work. We have to pick up the first downs on thirds. That's simply said and simply put. But I feel like and I don't have this is just my gut feeling. I feel as though a couple of weeks ago we were scoring so quickly, and everybody was saying, hey, we score so quickly, and then our defense is on the field, and they just, they run out of gas. I feel as though Milroe may have been kind of reeled in a little bit. I know if it looks there and he sees the long ball, he's going to take that shot. I get that. But I feel as though maybe Milroe has been reeled in a little bit by the coaches and saying, let's go through our progressions, check down, and let's move the ball around. Now, I know he does have a great relationship with the Williams, the true freshman, and he really targeted him a lot. But, the ball's got to be moved around, and third down conversions for first are critical, guys.
Yeah, I think if you're going 3 of 14 on third down, it's going to be really difficult for you to be able to win football games, along with turn it over twice. And then you've got 34 rushing attempts that are averaging 2.2 yards per carry. I don't think that we're ever going to pull the gas. I mean, Kalen DeBoer is known for putting up points, and it's wherever he's been been able to, they're scoring 40, 50 points when he was at Washington or wherever he's been. He knows how to score points. And yeah, the defense does have to, carry a little bit of the weight of that because you're on the field a little bit more. But I don't know if the strategy is trying to slow down this offense. Whenever you've got an opportunity to score points, you're going to take advantage of it and try to make that happen. And, this week it seemed like, Tennessee did a pretty good job of taking away the deep ball from us. And it's not so much that it was the coverage. It was more so, and we saw this from South Carolina as well, their defensive front was getting after Jalen Milroe. And, the average time to, snap to get the ball out or you're getting tackled was under 2.5 seconds, I believe, is what I saw. And that is just not a lot of time, especially when you're trying to get, if you're trying to go for those big plays. And I think we only had 3 explosive plays, and none of them were over 30 yards at all. And, I mean, you go back and you tell me that we'll have a game where we don't complete a pass or have a big play that's beyond 30 yards from this offense. After watching them for the first 3 games, I told you you're crazy because it's all we did from the early on in the season, even with Jalen just using his legs to go out there and run. There was a number of things that from this offense that just did not click, and things were not going the right direction. And we just weren't very efficient when we had the football, and there was a lot of opportunities for us to make plays, and they were just missed. It's like it's hard to explain. I don't think that there was anything that was just like there's just a number of different things that happened throughout the game that just caused us to kind of trip over our own feet and then backing ourselves up and slowing drives down. It was It was a laundry list of stuff that really was, inflicting, our self-inflicted wounds. We talked about all before the game as well. You can't have a lot of those. And then, unfortunately, had one of the biggest ones right at the end of the game with Kendrick Law with that 15-yard penalty. And staying within yourself when you've got these types of games is so critical of not getting caught up in the emotions. We've talked about it a couple weeks ago after we saw Malachi Moore. This is when it really kind of shows out. You've got a chance to convert a 4th down and have the ball. You're down by 4 points. You go down and drive and score, and then you back your team up and you got 4th and 22. This is when you've really got to be, stay within yourself, stay controlled, and hopefully a lot of these players are learning from some of these mistakes.
We'll see you coming up on Saturday. More on that when we return. This is Crimson Tide Rewind, presented by the Alabama Department of Public Health, reminding Alabama, don't wait, vaccinate. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
2 wides right, 1 left. Haynes comes in motion, play action to him, throwing it across the middle. Catch made, Bernard, inside the 10 and out of bounds, around the 7-yard line. First down, Alabama, inside the Chick-fil-A red zone. Another bank first down, this one on a 28-yard connection.
This season, stay cool when you purchase a limited edition Alabama Yeti. These custom Yeti cups only available at Champions Lane before home games, and this week unveiling a new design to commemorate one of the greatest plays of the year. The 4 + 2 = 6 Yeti Cup will be available for purchase this Saturday only at Champions Lane starting at 10:30 a.m. Make sure you visit championslane.com for more details. Elevate your game day with Yeti. We will take another call, probably our last one of the night. We will go to Hartselle where Joe joins us now. Roll Tide, Joe.
Roll Tide, guys. Hey, guys, it's pretty obvious this team likes team discipline. And it showed in this game, our South Carolina game, really, I guess, since the second half of the Georgia game. But my opinion is our team leaders on this team has got to step up and show their leadership and bring this team back together and get some discipline in this team. That's, of course, my opinion, but I think I'll have a lot of people agree with that.
Yeah, I think it's hard to argue with so far this season. What we've seen is just this making the same mistakes over and over again. I think that really, shows the lack of discipline in terms of not being able to learn from your mistakes and fix the problems that you have, and then, having Malachi earlier in the year with a little, letting the emotions get the best of them. And then you see, this game as well. It's like, when are we going to shut these things down? And when is this team going to realize that they're costing themselves opportunities to win football games and that the team is greater than themselves? I think that's one thing that's what makes great teams is that they play for the entire team, not just for themselves. And, but I think the penalties is, and granted, let's don't say that the penalties are not something that we've been dealing with in the past, because the last couple of years I feel like we've been getting hit with yellow flags here at Baumhower. And, it's like, how did y'all not bring the yellow flags tonight? They have 15 penalties. We're number 5 in the country in penalties. It's like, this is a problem that has been going on for the last few years. This is not happening in just this season. This has been a problem for us over the last few years. And so, but they're costing us, and there's definitely some that are, even when the play's over with, it's just like, personal fouls, whatever it is. Like, there's just got to be a lot that needs to be fixed, and that does require a lot of discipline, making sure you're doing the things you're supposed to do. Hopefully we can clean this up for the last few games, the back half of this season. It's
got to start on Saturday against Missouri. You're listening to Crimson Tide Rewind live from Baumhower's Victory Grille in Vestavia Hills. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
14-10 falls, but Bama closing in. Up the middle. Touchdown, Alabama. Justice Haynes, the 7-yard carry right up the gut. Untouched, and Alabama has regained the lead.
The prescription for success is presented by Payless Drugs. Payless Drugs, your own locally owned family pharmacy with 4 locations in Birmingham. Payless can hand your prescriptions, over-the-counter solutions, and home delivery. Payless at mynewpharmacy.com. All right, enough about Tennessee. We've got Alabama, Missouri coming up Saturday. Cory Reamer, what is the prescription for success?
Well, I think we've got a number of things that we've talked about it all show, but I think you got to bounce back. You got to let this 24-hour rule has been in effect, and we've unfortunately had to put that in place of too many losses that we're not used to having so far this season. But you got to forget about this game, and you got to turn around and get ready for the Missouri Tigers, who are 6-1 and ranked 21st in the country. They just came off of an emotional win against Auburn with a comeback after being down 14 or 17, I believe, in that game. And this is a team that believes themselves. This team competes for themselves, and they're going to be ready to play. They've got a lot of talent. We've seen this team, one of the top 10 ranked teams in the country preseason. Had to slip up here and there, but they're still a quality team, and we've got to be able to move on and forget about what's happened this past Saturday and find a way to finish this season strong. Like we said earlier, there's no option but winning the rest of these ball games if you want to have any hopes and dreams of playing in the postseason.
And no matter what happens, and I wouldn't expect our fans to do this, but no matter what happens, what's called on the field, what's not called, do not throw anything on the field. I think we learned that this past Saturday in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, we did. And I don't know. I think Kirby Smart made a really good point of what precedent that's being set from that situation. Even though that I do believe the call was right, I don't believe that it was executed correctly from the referees to be able to overturn that and kind of give an end to that kind of an action. Hopefully that's the last time we see that happen, because you're going to put some players at harm there, and they got to be able to just live with that call and move on from it.
Just another Saturday.
It's just another Saturday, man. Welcome to college football.
It has been a wild season, and Alabama's played 7 games. Hopefully this Saturday will be a good one. We'll tell you more about it when we return next for our final segment. You're listening to Crimson Tide Rewind. It's presented by the Alabama Department of Public Health, reminding Bama fans, don't wait, vaccinate. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield. What's on tap next for Bama is brought to you by Bud Light. Bud Light, proud sponsor of Alabama Athletics. It is easy to drink, and it's easy to enjoy. Crimson Tide back at home, Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Kickoff against Missouri was finally announced once all the games went final on Saturday. 2:30 Central Time will be the kickoff. Our radio coverage starting at Vector Security Champions Lane will begin at 11:30 a.m. coming up on Saturday. It's homecoming. It's going to be very busy around the Alabama campus, and we certainly hope we can celebrate Crimson Tide victory on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to find a way to get ready this 2:30 kickoff against a good team. We got Luther Burton, one of the best wide receivers in the country, coming in town, and Brady Cook, we saw what he did. He supposedly, I don't know if this is true or not, if this was just the headlines or if this is just Missouri playing into the narrative of him leaving and going to the hospital and having to come back and finishing up that Auburn game. Supposedly that's what happened, but this is a team that is ready to play. I mean, they had that one loss to Texas A&M earlier in the season and found a way to win that ball game last week. I do think that they're probably just like everybody else, not where they expected to be at this point in the year, but they only have the one loss, and they're going to be ready to go in Tuscaloosa on Saturday. It's going to be a tough battle. I think what everybody realizes now is that we've got these two losses, and kind of gives them this leg of confidence to come in and play, and you got your opportunity to go beat Alabama. Our players better be ready, and hopefully get healed up a little bit from last week.
Getting off to a good start and important. How about just making adjustments at halftime and making sure Alabama finishes this game the right way? How key is that?
I mean, that's been critical. You saw this past week, defense creates 3 turnovers, holds Tennessee's offense to 0 points, and then all of a sudden you're giving up 24 in the back half. And the second half defense, even in the offensive standpoint, when you're trying to finish ball games, you've also got to make adjustments. You had 2 3-and-outs, a turnover on downs, an interception. Defense has got to figure out how to be ready to come out and play, ready to play on the second half, because so far it's been, we get a little bit of lead. I don't know if we can build a large enough lead in that first half to be able to hold on, which is what happened in that Georgia game. If we hadn't scored as many points as we did in that first half against Georgia, who knows if we hold on to win that ball game. And the last few weeks we've been fortunate. Hopefully we get some things turned around here on Saturday.
Well, Cory, we're going to talk to you as part of our pre- and post-game coverage, and we'll be back here next week.
Looking forward to it. Appreciate it.
Great work. If you missed any portion of tonight's show, you can always catch it on demand on our Alabama Insider podcast. Download and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget, coming up on the network, we'll have Crimson Drive streaming live on our social media platforms coming up Tuesday and Thursday at 2 o'clock, 6 p.m. Wednesday, Hey Coach and the Kalen DeBoer Show coming up as well. That does it for Crimson Tide Rewind, presented by the Alabama Department of Public Health, live from Baumhower's Victory Grille in Vestavia Hills. For Jerry Kelly, along with Cooper Rollins from our Learfield studios, engineer Todd Robbins and Cory Reamer, Roger Hoover saying thank you for listening, and roll, Tide, roll.